the Author Collaborative. As always, I'll be talking to an author whose book I have recently read and enjoyed. And my guest for this week is somebody who's coming on the show for the second time. And just like previous time when she came with a previous poetry book, this time also she's coming with me on the show with her second poetry book that I have read, and we are going to talk about it. This is the book that we are going to talk about, and we'll also discuss her journey as an author from then to now. This is the book that we are going to talk about, Between the Shadow and the Soul, and she should be here in a minute. We'll begin the episode soon. Hi, Sid. So Nil should be here in a while. I'll begin today's episode then. Let me just quickly send her the link for. Okay, she should be here in a while. Hello, thank you. Hi, Sid. Sonal should be here and we'll start today's episode. Yeah, Sonal is here. Yes. Okay, it says you are unable to join. Okay, hi.
Hi, Manali.
You're
Hi,
here.
good evening.
Good evening. Actually, it's closer to good night for you now, right?
Yeah, it is my sleepy time now. I'm an early sleeper.
So, welcome back to the show. Very happy to have you. I think it's been
Thank you so much.
a little over a year since you are here.
Mm, I guess so. Yeah, I think so, huh?
Yeah, and yeah, I remember the last time you were here, we had so much fun, and I told everyone how much I loved your poetry book then also, and this much also I
Thank you
loved
so much.
equally, and that's going to come up in my conversation over the episode because there's so much that I want to talk about. But before we come to that, can you briefly introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Okay, so hi everybody. My name is Sonal Singh, and I am, as Manali has just shared, I'm a poet, I'm an author, and I'm really looking forward to this session with Manali where I discuss my second volume of poetry, which is titled Between the Shadow and the Soul. And yeah, so this is it. I also have it here.
Yes, beautiful cover. Like it's a window to
Thank
the
you so much.
soul. I think that's what
It
it
is a window to the
represents.
soul. That is what it
Yes.
is supposed to represent. And this is the book that we are discussing today. And so I have two poetry books out. The first one, like Manali said, we've already discussed about in detail. This is the second one. And pretty soon, fingers crossed, in April, my first debut novel by Readomania should be releasing. So that's titled Burps, Chirps, and Catastrophic Turfs.
I remember. I think when I was sharing yesterday's poster, at that time I realized when I was adding you that, oh my God, there's another book coming out and I also need to hurry up with my next book if you want to do another episode soon.
I definitely want to do it, and you will not believe it. I picked this book, because of the quirky title, and I loved reading it. And once I'd read it, I went and downloaded all your books on
Oh
Kindle because I
wow.
was like, okay, I need yeah, whatever I could get for free on Kindle Unlimited. I downloaded it. And I said,
Wow.
I need to read this woman more. What is going on in her head?
Oh,
I
Sid,
need to read.
yeah, Siddhant here, and he has pointed out one thing that I think both of us might have missed out on. He's mentioning that both of us are Kyoto authors, which is correct, yes.
Oh, yes,
So, yeah.
correct. Yes, congratulations on that. Correct.
Shushma is here. She's also saying topic is great. And Sid is saying, I'm waiting for the Pitch Fest book to come out. Oh, yes,
Thank
you
you
are
so
also
much.
the winner for
Yeah.
the Pitch
I
Fest,
will wait for
right?
your review on that.
Yeah. Yes, and once again, I'm quickly going to show everyone the cover before I tell everyone how much I loved it and talk about it more. This is the cover of the book. So I loved it so much. I especially like that you have divided it into the three sections, and all the poems focus so much on reflection and observation, which is something I believe that only us poets are blessed and gifted with, that we are able to
True,
turn something mundane into so beautiful and observant and evocative,
true.
which is something that you have done very well. In the previous book
Thank
also,
you
I
so
have
much.
already mentioned that you did it. And also, I want to point out to everyone, the previous poetry book that I read of Sonal's was also one of my standout reads for that year, for the previous year. It was one of my
Oh
standout
my
reads.
God. God is great.
So do go check that book out also. But now let's come to this. So I really like that you have focused on the very simple things of life. In that way, I like the connection between Fit Melt and this, but we'll come to that later.
Hmm.
Because mine is a little quirky, but yours is like sweet and evocative. Mine is like on the funnier side, but you
I
have,
think they mirror feelings very closely.
yeah.
Both the books I felt there was a lot of similarity. Of course, we'll discuss this later, as you said. But yeah, I do have thoughts on that.
Yes, and that way, yes, we have noticed some and pointed out and written about the simple joys of life, which most people are
Right.
not able to, point out or able to focus on, or probably they miss
Hmm.
out on being grateful about. So that's what I really liked about your book. And I have picked out so many. I mean, it was difficult for me to pick out one to read. So, like last time, I'm going to prove my point to you. You will see how much I have highlighted the book. So you remember last time I pointed out and I read from the author's
Yeah.
note?
Yes. Right, right. You're possibly the first person who has come back to me and told me that they've read the author's note.
See this,
My God,
just
thank you
like
so much.
previous book. Look at this. This is the author's note. Again.
I think the second paragraph where I talk about writing in cafes and stuff, when I read your book,
Yeah.
when I read this book, and I felt, oh my God, okay, so Manali thinks like that. Our thinking is pretty similar when it comes to writing, sitting
Yeah.
down and writing actually.
Yeah. So see, the whole page is like highlighted. Yeah. So now I'm not going to read out from the author's note this time. I'm going to read out a few poems because that's what I want to focus on. So one of the first ones that I have highlighted is from the first section. It's titled A Splendorous Union. And it goes something like this. Filtering through the canopy in a myriad of shimmering hues, the sunlight seeps down, dancing and prancing sinuously, weaving a path earthward on a quiet terrestrial journey. It flits and floats daintily, snaking through the foliage to alight on a waiting patch of grass. The verdant hues stir awake, smiling at this joyful intrusion into their drab, mossy world. The yellow, mellow sunshine dapples gently, bathing the jade in resplendence. Isn't it splendorous, this union of sunshine and land, like the sacred union of man and woman? Beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Loved
Thank
it.
you.
Loved it. I'm going to read out few more poems, but I want to come to how you went about writing the book. So I'm going to shoot my first question to you now.
Okay.
I have a bunch of those, but let's start with one, one at
Hmm.
a time. Okay, so my first question to you is I was very fascinated by the sections that you have made in the book. So, first question is related to that. The book is divided
Hmm.
into three sections, which is love, life, and loss. What guided this structure and how did these themes flow into one another?
There was nothing actually, Manali, that's honest, very honest, candid admission here. Nothing really guided the structure of the book.
Hmm.
What happened as a poet, I've always been very, very influenced by. I've always believed that I write really shitty love poetry. I mean, I don't have that. I find it very a very overrated emotion, and yet I love reading Pablo Neruda's love poetry. So Pablo Neruda has been a huge influence on my life as a poet. People read Shakespeare, they read Longfellow, they read Tennyson, but for me, it's always been Pablo Neruda because
Hmm.
his poems, even his love poems, are very reflective of the life around us. He'll
Yeah.
take examples, he'll build a house into a love poem. So that's
Yeah.
the kind of work that I've loved reading. And I was, after my second book, I was still writing, of course, poetry, but I never really thought that I would bring out another book. And then one day I sat down to compile the poems in a folder, and I realized that I had actually, unbeknownst to me also, I had started penning down poems which could be classified as love poems. And then because I always like to write about nature, I like to write about emotions and things like that. So then there were poems on loss and there were poems on life,
Hmm.
and that's how this book actually came about. And the theme, as you said, how the theme flows is because the title of the book is, of course, borrowed from Pablo Neruda's immortal verse, between the shadow and the sword, from his sonnet. And when I realized that I had this, poems which would fall into these three themes, then I sat down and I thought, this is exactly what I want the book to be. that it needs
Hmm.
to be something between the shadow and the soul, because the soul resides inside of us. We feel through our soul, and yet whatever we are experiencing, the shadow witnesses that. And in
Hmm.
between the shadow and the soul, it is the human being that is going through so many different kinds of emotions,
Hmm.
through love, loss, life, everything.
Hmm.
And that's how these themes kind of interlinked, and that's how this book was born, basically.
Okay.
So
Oh,
that would be
interesting. Okay,
story.
so
Yeah.
yeah, your the kind of poetry that you enjoy reading was the inspiration for you somehow subconsciously for your
Yes.
poetry yourself, the ones that you write
Yes.
yourself. Wow,
Right.
that's very
It
interesting.
was
And I
definitely.
think that goes a long way to show how every reader is inspired, every writer is inspired by what they read.
Very true. You need to be a reader in order to be a writer. I mean, you
Yes,
cannot be a writer.
exactly.
And I go a step further and say that you cannot write, you cannot write prose unless and until you know how to write poetry. Poetry has to be the first thing you learn how to write, because that's where you learn about figures of speech, you learn about metaphors, you learn about poetic expressions, you learn about how to how to write on similes and analogies.
I am.
That's what poetry teaches you. It gives you that certain leeway to experiment, and then you once you start experimenting with that kind of poetic structure, and your emotions start to come out, you become a better writer automatically, because you're able to translate it into a text, basically. So
Wow.
I think all writers need to have some sort of poetic streak.
Yeah, now you put an interesting thought into my mind. I have never thought of it this way because I have always been a poet and then I became,
Hmm.
a fiction writer also, prose writer also.
Same here,
But
same here. I'm in the same boat.
so I never realized that, that made my journey as a prose writer easier. I never put that much thought into it. But now that you're saying it, yes, it does make a lot of difference. And yeah, it's a great advice to someone who's trying out prose for the first time that, maybe try writing poetry first.
Poetry first. Yeah, I truly believe that. I truly believe that.
Yeah. Okay, that brings me to a follow-up question in this on the same lines, which is that did you write these poems with the sections in mind, or did the themes naturally emerge as you compiled the collection?
No, they naturally emerged. So I find it very, very difficult to write to prompts. I have done that when I still am a part of different literary platforms, and every year when we do the National Poetry Writing Month in April, for 2 years I've done that on different
Hmm.
platforms, and then I realized that for me as a poet, it's very difficult to write on a given theme or a topic. For
Hmm.
me, poetry is very natural. I get up one morning, I'm in the balcony, I'm on the balcony enjoying my, morning coffee, and I see
Hmm.
the lake, and there's a slight mist wrapped around it. There's a
Hmm.
slight breeze, and the trees are swaying, and that's how the poetry will emerge. It's something you have to feel in order to write. You can't sit and write a poem. You have to feel, and it naturally needs to flow out.
Yeah.
So that's what happened with this book also, actually, and that's how it's come about, actually, honestly speaking.
On that note, I'm going to read out a poem one more time, second poem that I'm going to read out. And this is going to be from the second section, which is life.
Right.
And this is titled Dawn and Dusk. I absolutely love the comparison that you have done here. So this is how it goes. Dawns are innocent. They step barefoot into the unknown like innocent children chasing butterflies. Across dew-kissed meadows, their laughter flitting behind them in trails of golden mist. They believe steadfast and wholeheartedly in the goodness of things yet to come. Dawns are trusting. Their unburdened hearts embrace each sunrise with a promise. Blind to the shadows, still clinging to the edges of light. They greet dusk each evening with open arms and quiet hope, placing untold belief in its power to hush the clamor of the day, to soothe its wounds with a balm of gentleness. But the dusk is far from innocent. The dusk is cunning and sly. It arrives dressed in bruised colors, wearing the wisdom of what was. It has watched the day toil, stumble, falter, and surrender. Dusk is rife with knowledge. There is no naivety in it. It carries the scent of consequences. It neither forgets nor forgives. Judgmentally, it takes stock, weighs the day's missteps, and with a smirk, it curates its approach to pass the verdict on the day's actions. ultimately rejoicing in the day's sacrificial end. Absolutely loved it
Thank you
here
so
that
much.
you have, compared the two most important parts of a day in this manner with, you know, the experiences of life itself.
Thank you so much for that, Manali. Actually, as I said, a lot of my poetry comes from nature.
Yeah.
And it comes from comparing. This is what I was talking about earlier. What I've loved, learned from Pablo Neruda's poetry, that you can compare any kind of emotion, you can put it in any kind of structure,
Hmm.
and yet you can create an emotive outflow out of that. So that's
Yeah.
something I've learned from his poetry, and that is the soul of this book. Actually, I'm the shadow. That's the soul.
Oh, wow. Lovely. I love that comparison also. That brings me to the second question which I had for you. This is also going to have a few follow-ups. So let me break it down into fragments as I ask. One of the most striking aspects of your poetry is the imagery that you draw from everyday moments. How do you train yourself to notice and capture these details?
Um, the thing is, I don't train myself to notice and capture these details, honestly. If I could do that, then I would be writing about the sabji wala or the doodh wala bhaiya who comes in the morning. I mean, I would be writing about those things because those are the things that I'm interacting there. I can observe more there. But as far as I am concerned, I think a huge part of who I am as a person is a nature lover, and that comes from my childhood. So my
Okay.
father was in the Air Force. So I've spent life in Air Force camps, and they were like in far-flung areas, Bihar mein, शहर के बाहर, where there were no facilities except for the camp and that structure. So
Hmm.
we spent a lot of our times in jungles and forested areas and things like this. So nature comes very easily to me. I
Hmm.
understand that language a lot better. I understand animals a lot better than I understand humans,
Okay.
honestly speaking. So
Okay.
for me, my inspiration to I don't get inspired to write poetry by looking at things around me. I get inspired to write poetry when I'm somewhere and it evokes emotions in me. So
Okay.
as I said, I could be like for right now, I'm sitting with you in this live. We are doing an interview. We're talking to each other, conversing. But the emotion that is running through me at this very moment is the fact that there is an undeniable bond between the way you write and I write. If I
Yeah.
had to write a poem on the spot, I would write on that because that's what I felt when I read your book. I mean, the ice cream didn't melt. That's what I felt, that the everyday observations that you have written, they come from very deep feelings. They
Yeah.
come from yeah, something was evoked inside you, inside your heart, by the things that were going on around you, and you captured those. So that's a poet's heart. So that's what basically I also do. I look at things, but they may not, I may not see them the way other people do. Other
Yeah.
people would note details. As poets, we don't note those details. We just feel,
Yeah. We
and that
feel.
feeling comes up. So
Yes.
that's, yeah. So that's how I write basically.
Yeah. So, yeah, I understand what you are saying. It's more like an intuitive thing for most of us who are poets
Intuitive.
and nature
Correct.
lovers. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. That's what
Okay.
it is.
So my follow-up to that question is, do your poems usually begin with a feeling, an image, or a specific line? And how important is silence and pause in your writing process, especially for a collection that thrives on such subtlety like this one?
Uh, okay. I'll answer the second part first with respect to pausing and I mean going silent. I do that a lot. I take a lot of pauses. So I'll write maybe a poem today, and then for days together I will not write anything because
Mhm.
I'm not in the zone. I'm not feeling it. Like I
Yeah.
said, poetry, I cannot sit and write a poem. It has to come from within, and then it just flows. Cut, cut, cut. And then you pen down whatever is happening. You just keep writing. Fat, 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 fat. You note it down.
Hmm.
बाकी स्ट्रक्चरिंग बाद में हो सकती है,
Hmm.
editing बाद में हो सकती है, but for me, that's how I write. So sorry, the first part of the question was, can you repeat it once more for me?
Yeah. So, how do you usually begin a poem? Is it with a feeling, an
Right.
image, or a specific line?
So it's I wouldn't say it's a specific line or something. That way I cannot write poetry to prompts. I find it very difficult, in fact. But yeah, feelings definitely. So getting up in as I said, suppose tomorrow morning if I were to get up at say 5:30 in the morning, जब वो पॉप हट रही होती है, when the sun is just, I can just see कि थोड़ा थोड़ा light हो रहा है over the lake and the
Hmm.
mist is kind of lifting. The feeling that it would evoke in me is silence. That kind of silence, no clutter.
Yeah.
And from that, possibly a
Hmm.
poem would flow, but it would definitely have elements of nature in it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
for me, poetry is very sensorial. So what I felt at that moment, the coolness of the breeze,
Hmm.
what I could smell, what I could see, what I could visualize in my heart. Those are
Hmm.
the things that would get captured. So it's not a line; it would be feelings definitely,
Yeah.
which I work with when I'm writing.
On that note, I'm going to read out one more poem because that is something also very close to what I wrote once, explaining the
Okay.
feeling and the feeling rather than the place that we generally refer to it as. It's a noun, but for me, it is always a feeling. The poem is
Okay.
titled Home, but it's not
Oh,
a
that's
place
my
for me.
favorite poem in the book. Yeah, it's my favorite poem.
I have also written something similar, and I was like, "Wow, we vibe on this." So I'm going to read that out.
Yeah, we think alike.
So yeah, see, I have highlighted it entirely. A home. So this is how it goes. Somewhere in an amber-hued twilight, spilling molten gold to serenade the night, I wait silently, holding my breath to hear your exhale again. That soft, familiar music my silence aches for. Shutters down, doors shut, confined within the hush of walls. My hollowness waits, not in sorrow, but in tender anticipation, for you to return, to invade the silence and fill my empty corners with your lingering essence. Somewhere in a dusky twilight that mirrors mine, you too reach for a doorknob, yearning to step in and fill my emptiness. For we are the same, you and I, two halves of an emotion, an echo, and a call called home.
So
Loved
this is
it.
my favorite poem in the entire book. And when I wrote it, it was a very short poem when I initially wrote it. And when I sat down to edit it, somehow it distinct paras that it is. And I said, no, now it captures the emotion. What I wanted to say, कि, जो feeling हमारे अंदर है कि we want to go home. We
Hmm.
don't want to go back to our house. हमें घर जाना है शाम को. हम वेट करते हैं दिन भर थक हार करके कि हम घर जा सके. तो वो घर भी तो हमारा है. वो घर भी इंतजार करता है कि हम
Yeah.
आए वापस शाम को, to fill it. So it's a mutual love basically between the home and the person. So
Exactly.
that's why this is my
Yeah,
favorite.
I always associate home with it's never a noun for me. It's always a feeling or a person. Yeah.
It's an emotion, correct. Huh?
Yeah.
It's an emotion. Home is an emotion, yes.
Yes. And I'm so glad you talked about writing it first and then adding on to it and editing it later because it also proves to the point that we are making through your response to my question. So I'm very glad I picked some the right poem to explain explain your answer also. Okay, I think that's about it from my side. If during the course of the conversation from now on, if I am able to recall anything, I'll definitely be reading out more poems. So yes, now the floor is yours.
Okay, no problem at all. So before we begin this, session, there's something that I would like to confess very candidly. I picked up this book because of the title. I mean,
Oh,
ice cream भी है, जीन्स भी है, जीन्स मुझे भी फिट, कई बार जब फिट हो जाती है तो बहुत खुशी होती है कि भैया अभी भी फिट हो रही है, पुरानी वाली नहीं नहीं, पुरानी वाली, वो
oh,
बड़ा बड़ी बात है कि पुरानी जीन्स फिट हो रही है. So
that is so another feeling only. हाँ, वो तो और भी
is it
बढ़िया
another
feeling
feeling
है.
only? There's a joke doing the round somewhere that today I found something from my college days that still fit me, and it was my socks. So it was, so this book reminded me of that joke, feeling,
Yeah.
कि हाँ कुछ है जो fit हो रहा है types. So that's the reason I picked up this book, honestly. And when I started reading it, there were moments I really laughed out loud, and I was like, okay, this sounds so much like me. And then I was like, oh my God, this girl is totally bonkers. I need to dissect her brain. I need to take a sneak peek. कि ये कहाँ से सोच करके किताब लिख रही है ये. I mean, it's just a mundane. It's just the sundry things
Exactly.
around
Yeah.
us. To think that you have captured it all, cataloged it, created graphics and created a novel out of it. That's mind blowing. I was like, what am
Thank
I
you.
doing in my life, man? I mean, there's so many things I'm missing out.
On that note, I'm quickly going to show everyone the book of the cover that we are talking about currently. So this is my book. It's called My Jeans Fit Well and the Ice Cream Didn't Melt. And
I
this is the book
didn't
that
know.
Sonal has read, and we are currently talking about that. Please go on, Sonal.
Right, right. Okay, so now that this is out of this thing, out of the ball is out of the court, there's one thing that I really want to know. One thing entire world wants to know in this life. Has your husband read this book? Because I also read the author's note. So has your husband read this book?
Unfortunately, no. With every book, he attempts. An attempt is made, which is given up on in a few minutes. I think the maximum record has been 2 days, but I don't think it's gone beyond 2 days for any book now.
I can totally relate to that because today my husband was telling me that, okay, this book of yours. So after the Orthopod result came, so he was like, oh wow, I'm really proud of you. I said, thank you so much. But have you read the book? I said, I tried. I really tried. I really, really tried. For 3, 4 days, I picked up a poem, but then it went over my head. I don't understand what is being said there. Okay. He's like, I'll read your novel when that comes out. That's more up my alley. I would be able to understand that.
Yeah,
But
you
like,
have
okay,
that at least. So my
I
husband has
have.
not read any genre. So I am to like, अब क्या ही
I'm
करूँ
still
मैं?
the jury is still out in my home, अभी तक हुआ नहीं है. जिस दिन होगा उस दिन टंके की चोट पे बोलेंगे हाँ हो गया भैया. पर अभी तक नहीं हुआ.
Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that
Let's
your
keep our
husband reads at least the novel. Yeah, let's hope that he enjoys the
I
prose
hope
at
so.
least.
So, on that note, I have some snippets of your book here.
Hmm.
So, there are 8 of those, so you'll have to bear with me a little. These 8 really appeal to me. So, I've taken screenshots because I read on my Kindle on my mobile. So, the first thing is, okay, before we go here, the first thing is, why is the index the alphabet? I found
Okay.
that very quirky. I mean,
Yeah, so the thing is, when I started the book, these nuggets were just listed out in a Word document.
hmm.
The book began sometime in 2020-21. I had started
Oh,
creating these nuggets, yeah, and it started uh, as something that I used to put out on my social media every week or twice a week. I used to put out social media posts with the hashtag silly things that make me happy. And yeah,
how funny.
the kind of response that those posts got me really inspired to think along the lines of converting them into a book. So I
Hmm.
started compiling them in a Word document. But then, somewhere around 50 nuggets, I gave up on the idea because something happened which, demotivated me from continuing with the book. And then cut to 2024, sometime in October or November, I was talking like this with somebody on the Author Collaborative episode itself, and they asked me a very peculiar question, which made me go back to this book. They asked me, is there any book idea that you have given up on but are really keen to work on? And
Hmm.
immediately my mind went to this book because
This book.
I was very keen on it when I started working on it. And then I gave up on it and I was like, no, this is something I really do want to do. And
Hmm.
that was the moment I realized, okay, maybe it's time to give it a rethink and I can, reopen the Word document, get it out of my drafts folder, which lay forgotten from the past few years. So I went back to the Word document, and when I, read all the nuggets, 50 of them were already compiled, as I said. But then
Hmm.
around that time, a writing challenge was coming up. So I thought, if I really don't want to give up on this idea anymore, I have to make it a part of something where, I am able to
You're
take
forced
it
to
on.
complete it.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
complete it, and also I can share it again with an audience to
Right.
bring back the
Get feedback.
motivation that had died. So I took up that challenge, and that challenge is something that goes along these lines. Part of the blog chatter community, which is the largest
Okay.
blogging
Right.
community in India.
Hmm. Right.
And they do this challenge every April where you
A
are
to Z
supposed to,
challenge. Right.
yeah, A to Z challenge, and you are supposed to pick each letter from the English alphabet and focus on that. And write 26 posts throughout the duration of that month. And that's
Hmm.
how the format took the, A to Z kind of style. When I started
Okay.
thinking about it as a book that I can, start to rework on, that was the second stage. And that's how the A to Z format came in.
Got it. That's what I was kind of wondering. I was like, okay, fine. I mean, chapters, because these musings are on different topics. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, this could have had a chapter heading. Why is there no chapter heading? Why is this A to Z? Now you've given me clarity. Okay, so the first letter, the first thing that I wanted that really hit me, and this, why? Because you can't see in my background, I hope not, because the entire room is littered with open suitcases and packing material. One daughter is going to her college tomorrow, the other one is going to her college tomorrow, husband is leaving tomorrow night, I'm leaving day after. So all of us have suitcases open. So the one thing that really struck me, the first thing was itinerary for the letter I, because half the fun in an upcoming holiday is in obsessively planning it.
Uh,
Oh my God,
Definitely, yes.
obsessive, matlab, I am mega obsessive. Matlab, I have lists, I have backup lists. One suitcase will be open for a month, before the actual holiday, and every day I'm adding offerings to it. Every day I add something, Arey, wahan thanda ho gaya, so okay, let me add one more pair of socks. Let
Yeah.
me add, matlab, I travel with my electric kettle hota hai, I travel with that. Not the kettle pani wala, but that cookiesy thing जो इनालसा का आता है जिसमें सब बनता है, right?
Tell.
I travel with that. I even travel with chai masala and ginger and tea and my brew coffee. Everything goes because
Okay.
God forbid, भैया कल को कुछ problem हो गई. So this itinerary thing, planning. And I'm so obsessive. I'm on booking. I'm checking booking.com. I will check Agoda. I will check Expedia. I will check. I become a part of all those different Facebook groups on that particular country that I'm going to visit. And then I interact with the locals there and the tour operators. And then I figure out, I chase down tourists who've been there and who are posting their experiences. And I'm like, okay, what must I do? I'm like that manic. So this
Okay.
really spoke to me,
Oh, wow.
looking
So
up,
happy.
looking at vlogs and reading up blogs because FOMO before the trip, best motivation to not waste
I'm
time sleeping
forgetting
in the hotel bed.
I'm forgetting which letter is this. Can you guide
I
me to that? I.
itinerary.
Yeah, okay, obviously. That makes sense.
And I'm
Yes.
like, this is so
Therefore,
me. Like, yeah,
yeah.
this is totally me. So this is the first thing that jumped at me, literally. And the second thing, which is again me in a different sense, is the letter B. Jigsaw and crossword puzzles. Oh
Oh,
my God. I am like a certified, yeah. I'm like a certified crossword lover. For me, doing the crossword in the morning, it's like non-negotiable. उसके बिना वो होता है ना brain jump start नहीं होता है. वो होता है ना short वो कहते हैं गाड़ी बंद पड़ जाती है तो उसको jump start करना पड़ता है. So for me, it's like that shot of caffeine I need in the morning.
yeah.
I need a crossword puzzle in the morning. So I love puzzles.
Nice.
And this that, the fact that you've written, I definitely find these therapeutic. I was like, wow, yeah, koi to hai, somebody gets me. Someone, there's at least one person in this world who will not call me crazy because everybody does. My family does it. Like,
Yeah, I'm not
you
alone in
crazy.
this, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, you crazy. Who wakes up doing crossword puzzle in the morning? I'm like, I do. I enjoy it. It's a different kind of therapy. It's my morning alarm.
True, true.
So
Yes.
these nuggets, and that brings me kind of like to my first question also.
Hmm.
So I'm going to ask you, the thing is your book captures the beauty of just pausing, reflecting, sitting, just being inert in the moment.
Yeah.
Your notations are an accurate representation of life, like I've just read out. Okay, so how long did it take you to compile them? You've already answered this.
Hmm.
And what is there an emotional arc that you wanted to exhibit via your graphics here, not just the text?
So when the idea came to me 6 years ago in 2020,
Hmm.
I was only putting out social media posts in the form of words. They
Hmm.
were either directly Facebook status where I was only using words, or I used to convert those words into an image form and put it out very simply in an image
Hmm.
as words, like in a creative form. There was
Okay.
no imagery involved at all. But I saw that people were connecting it. to it, and I realized that probably they are thinking of the moment when something like that happened with them. And if
Hmm.
I add a visual effect to it, maybe it will add another layer. And also,
Impact would land stronger.
yes, exactly. That
Hmm.
was the thought. And also, I also realized that if I'm putting it in a book, I also have to explain to them why it happened to me and why it is relevant in my life that
In your life,
this
correct.
happened. How did it happen and why it happened? And why is it included in the book? So I have to explain that moment through a pictorial representation, that this is what happened in that moment. And that's how I realized that, this is a tiny joy that I want to, commemorate in the book.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, that was the thought behind it. But yeah, the idea was always there that in order to add another layer to this, if I'm converting the social media post into a book, it would have to have illustrations. Yes.
Hmm. Okay, great. So that's the reason, I think I found this book very poetic in that sense because of this emotional arc. Because the thing is, like, poetry is interpretative. So this book is also like that. What you've put down your feelings, you've given us a visual of that, what you were thinking, and of course, brief note on, what it's about. But what we take away from this is something we have experienced personally. So
Yes.
that's like poetry. So it wasn't just a novel. This is not just a graphic novel. You know, this goes deeper than that.
Yes.
So, and there was something here in the book. I came across this ironically at the right time in my life, I guess. So this is from the letter F. Okay, this is freedom. Freedom
Okay.
to do whatever I want without the burden of responsibilities or being answerable to anyone, even for a little period. Yes, responsibility called. I hit the decline button or the delete. I have to tell you, I have not hit decline. I've hit delete.
Oh,
Total
wow.
delete. Whether the day I told last year I turned 50, and I told my family, this is it. I'm done. They're like, what do you mean you're done? He's like, we know you're 50. I mean, you're like over the hill. I said, no, 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 no over the hill bullshit going on here. Not that kind of done. I'm just done dealing with so many responsibilities, doing so many things, everything. I was like, I have been living my life all this time, first 50 years for everybody else. Now it's time I do the things I want to do. So that's how I kickstarted. 50 has been my year of experimentations. I've kickstarted things. I've done things I never thought I would.
Oh, wow.
From trying to learn to belly dance to from trying to YouTube videos से
Oh,
public देख लेगी तो
wow.
बेइज्जती भी बहुत हो जाएगी.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of so I'm cataloging this into another book, of course, but the thing is, this hit me so much, the
Hmm.
freedom, the
Hmm.
fact that I've successfully managed to kick the children out of the house, right? Husband, God bless him, is in a job which keeps him out of the house. Now the house is mine. I have my furry babies. They're dependent on me, but they're, at least, as I tell my children, they listen to me more than the kids do. So they're obedient that way. So now is the freedom. I want the freedom to do the things that I want. I want to cut down on responsibility and enjoy my life. I mean, when else will I live? Otherwise, 60 साल की उम्र में दवाई खाते हुए तो नहीं हो सकता ना. वो बजाज का ऐड था ना बचपन में, अब मैं बिल्कुल बूढ़ा हूँ, गोली खा के जीता. I mean, we can't really do that. So, this thing really hit me, the freedom to do whatever I want to do. And that brings me to another question here on humor, because humor is my default mode. Like, humor, no, actually, that's not true. Humor is my fault mode, sarcasm is my default mode. So, this is, so that's the reason I think that humor is a very double-edged sword, and some find it dry, they find it droll, others find it really flat, they don't get the joke, they're like, yeah, kya pije mara hai, lame joke types, samajh hi nahi aaya unko. And there are still others who will find it extremely sarcastic. Those are the kind of people who are always on the other side of me, so they're always finding my things very sarcastic. Now, how do you balance this? And how did you manage to balance your wit in this book? Because there might have been moments when you yourself would have been tempted to put in an observation which you thought was a little too snarky and might, it might not hit the right nerve. It might, in fact, inflame that particular nerve. So,
Yeah.
how did you manage that balance? Did you have to restrain yourself a lot? पहले तो ये बताओ.
Actually, no. This is the most unrestrained I have been in any of my books so far. I
Mm-hmm.
have like this is my maximum no filters Manali, and most unhinged
Wow.
version that has come out in this book. And I'm very happy for that because I think, and what I'm hearing from the people who have read the book, it is the version that they are enjoying the most. So I am like, okay, this personality of Manali needs to come out more, I think
No,
now.
I agree. I agree. I found this very wacky, and I love wacky stuff. That's why I said, "यही तो है, चलो यार, कोई तो मैं अकेली नहीं हूँ दुनिया में पागल जैसे सोचती हूँ." And and another person, of course, she's here. Natasha is watching the live, so she's another person who's equally wacky. So we often chat, and I often tell her that, okay, दुनिया में अच्छा है, एक तो मिला जो समझ में
Exactly, right?
you need
Yeah.
that kind of a pagal friend, because the family doesn't always understand. You need one wacky friend in the world.
Yeah, true, true. So, no, so there was no holding back as such, but I did consciously try not to offend anyone. Like,
Mhm.
I tried not getting personal because some of them are really moments where, I'm being very specific that something like this happened.
Yeah.
So that is where I put a restraint that, I can't
Mm.
be, there is a thin line between being unfiltered and being rude. So that is where
Correct.
I drew the line.
That's what I wanted to ask because I would possibly not have been able to manage. I have zero filter. I have no filter. So I literally there needs to be a tape, cellotape. In fact, that brings me, there needs to be a cellotape on my mouth, and that brings me to the letter E. The cellotape. I was like, अच्छा ये मेरे साथ तो ये कभी नहीं हुआ types, the easily locating the loose or correct end of a cellotape. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I have no less than 13 or 14 different bits of sellotape in my drawer, which includes double-sided tape as well. Double-sided tape, electrical tape, sellotape, packing tape, and what is the carton tape? Sab hai, everything. Not one of them I'm able to peel off easily when I need it. So I saw somewhere on some Insta reel, falsu ka, they said, what you need to do is you need to put a toothpick at the end, so that you can peel it off. मैंने भी लगाया. I said, okay, fine. Next time, this toothpick will help me. That bloody toothpick only broke. So the sellotape did not come out again. So I was like, this is not working again. What do
Yeah.
I do?
These hacks are not for people like us, definitely. I
They're
don't know
not
how
for
they
people
work
like
for
us.
other people. Yeah.
Therefore, people who have the patience and the time to deal with things like this. I was like, my God, let sellotape go to hell. Go on laga फेविकोल लाओ भाई. फेविकोल का जोड़ सब संभाल लेता.
Yes, exactly.
फेविकोल. So this sellotape thing was another thing which I found very, this thing. And another thing that I forgot to mention this earlier because it came later on in the book. So itineraries ke baad, there is another thing in the letter G, which
Hmm.
is getaways. Another
Oh,
thing, because as I said, I'm an obsessive planner and I need everything planned down to the detail. यहाँ भी देखना है, वो भी देखना है. But yeah, so the letter G, getaways to places I've long been waiting to visit or happening just when I needed the break. So that's what after 50, that's what I've decided. That's what I'm doing. I mean, going on this trip. We've been planning to do this for the last 4 5 years. Haven't gone. Kuch na kuch life keeps intervening. But when
yeah.
I read this, and how much is too much to pack for a 10-day trip? 90% excitement, 10% wondering if I packed enough outfits to not get photographed in the same clothes twice. My, this time I decided I'm only carrying trousers and I'm carrying shirts. All decided. And then in come my Insta influencing daughters. And they're like, what are you packing for your trip? It's like trousers and shirts. It's like, this is like a backpacking type of holiday. No, so I'm just packing that. इतना गर्मी होगा पसीने में नहा जाओगी ऊपर से नीचे कितनी बार नहाओगी you should carry some dresses also. Then I
Hmm.
sat and thought like अच्छा dresses भी लेना पड़ेगा. That's where this 90% excitement and 10% wondering became ulta. It became 90% wondering and 10% excitement. It's like अच्छा अब क्या करा जाए. So ऐसे करके this thing really hit home right now when I'm
Nice.
packing for my trip. And I was like अरे भगवान ये भी मनाली ने सोच के रखा था कि ऐसा भी हो सकता है.
So happy that some of these moments have happened to right at the moment when you are reading the book.
When I wanted, seriously. And इसके साथ में getaways के साथ there was another thing, Ziplocs, Z. Oh my, I cannot do without Ziplocs. I'm the queen of Ziplocking things.
Oh wow.
Everything Ziplocked. I'm super organized. My laptop bag, everything goes into a Ziploc so that वो security clearance से proper एक single bag निकाला जा सके. It's so much faster. I mean, नहीं तो एक cord इधर निकलती है, एक cord उधर निकलती है. You know, for me, everything is Ziplocked. Matlab socks, 3 pairs of socks, ziplocked and put into the suitcase, you know, like it's some kind of packing cube. So the Ziploc thing, I didn't win the lottery, but I found a right Ziploc close enough. Are bhaiya, that is the biggest lottery in the world. To be able to find, to be able to find a Ziploc which is actually a Ziploc, not that put like bubble wrap wala ganda.
I hate that. I want the zip. I can't. वो press वाला तो नहीं चाहिए मुझे.
So this is something which again hit home when I was reading it. I was like, हाँ, मैं कभी सोचा भी नहीं हूँ बेचारे जिपलॉक के बारे में, उसकी मेरी जिंदगी में कितनी अहमियत है बेचारी चीज की, जिसने भी इन्वेंट किया है उसको कोटि कोटि धन्यवाद.
Exactly. And I have actually, on that note, I have to mention that I have done that in my previous book, Embraces in Ink, where I have written a letter of gratitude to Ziplocs.
I know because I read that.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yeah. So, yeah, my affinity to Ziplocs goes a long way. I think in every book I have mentioned it now.
I can understand the feeling. Trust me.
Okay. I assume you have any more questions, or we'll move to the rapid fire otherwise.
We can move to the rapid fire. If I have a follow-up question, I'm going to ask it in between only.
Awesome.
That
Awesome.
would be better.
Let's move to the fun part of the more fun. We are already having a lot of fun. Let's move to more fun now. Okay. So how we'll do this, Sonal, is we'll do back and forth. One question I ask, one question you ask. Okay?
I've got my questions all written down, yeah.
Awesome. Okay. My first question to you is, fill in this blank. My poetry feels most honest when I am dash.
When I'm not trying to write it. It feels honest when I'm not trying to write it, when I'm feeling deeply about something and it just flows.
Okay.
Something clicks in the head, you know, the thought clicks, it just forms itself.
Yeah.
And then I just write. Whatever is forming, I write that. I don't try to write anything. I don't try to put in a vocabulary word, or I don't try to put in a punctuation, anything like that. No. Jo form ho raha hai, wahi likhti jati. And then that's how the poem emerges. Basically.
Oh, wow. Lovely.
That's for me. Now, one thing I've been meaning to ask about this wacky book. If there was one thing from this book, you know, one nugget of wisdom that you could enforce to the public as a whole, apart from Ziploc, what would you enforce?
I think I would just enforce not commenting on people's bodies. I hate that.
Oh my God, seriously, some people are so, you know, there are times my Tom cat, the cat we adopted a few years back here from an camp from abandoned pets, when he came to us, he's like really plump. मोटू अभी भी है, तो उसका पेट ने भी वहां पे जिन्होंने वो कैंप लगाया था वेट क्लिनिक ने, उनका पेट ने भी मोटू रखा था. So
Okay.
we also started calling him Motu because he would not respond to Smokey. He didn't know his name. Ho gaya. And after a few days, my daughter came back from college and she was like, okay, so this is what we've got. He said, yeah, this is Motu. Like, don't cat shame him. Like, my God, that's also what? Cat shame? I mean, body shame to samajh nahi aa raha hai. Cat shame? They're like, don't call him fat. He's not fat. He's just round. Okay, fine. He's not fat. He's gold, like a golgappa. He's round.
Nice.
Yes, what you're saying, I mean, I think, but this generation, the new generation, these guys are far more intuitive about this thing. They're far more understanding about different body sizes, shapes, whatever. They don't judge people by that. Unlike what our parents possibly did. That generation, I think, was the worst. And we were no less. Hamare mein bhi tha, but we learned to adapt circumstances ke saath mein, life ke saath mein. But I think our kids were a lot better in that sense. So.
True. I think I was discussing it with Natasha also, and we were just discussing that Gen Z is so much more inclusive in that matter.
They're very inclusive. Yes. They're very accepting of, they don't have any gender bias. That's the best thing. They're very gender neutral people. They're very accepting of all kinds of, ethnicities, all kinds of proclivities, everything. And I find that really commendable. I mean, you need that going forward in the world.
Exactly.
Inclusivity.
So yeah, I think they are influencing everyone. I mean, I as a millennial am very like uh, very inspired by these positive bits about the Gen Z. So
True, true. So am I.
yeah, and on that note, I'm going to read out the nugget that mentions what I just meant. Was I was just talking about. This is from the letter O, and it says it is this one-liners that actually land. So I'm going to read out why I said this one. And the woman, which is me, in the illustration, she's saying to somebody at a social event, well, at least one of us is growing. Oops, I didn't mean to say that out loud. But if you expected me to stay quiet after your you've put on remark, maybe
Mm.
say it while offering me another samosa. And the caption says, on the menu, samosas with a sprinkling of sass.
Thinking of that, yeah, I remember this one. Yes, yes.
So yeah,
Yeah, but
just
I think, that's a good point that, this is how we need society to be. So
yeah.
yeah, it's definitely, I get your point, totally get your point on this.
Okay, coming to my next question in the rapid fire, which is if your book had to lose one section out of love, life, or loss, which one would you reluctantly sacrifice and justify your choice?
I would not reluctantly sacrifice, I would wholeheartedly sacrifice love. Wholeheartedly. Those who know me know that I have a very jaded view, I have a very, jaundiced view of love. I think it's an overused, overrated emotion. Basically, that's why I'm so sarcastic. That's why humor is my fault and sarcasm is my default. But the reason, see, life, there is an impermanence to life because life is not certain. But
Hmm.
life is where we experience everything,
Hmm.
whole the gamut of emotions, right? And there is an impermanence to it, but there is a permanence to loss because there is
Mhm.
death. That is
Yeah.
the finality. But love as an emotion, you cannot slot it into impermanence or permanence because love is the only emotion which has a lot of colors.
Hmm.
There is love, there is obsession, there is lust, there is liking, there is infatuation. There are so many different kinds of aspects to love. So I don't think any book can catalog it properly. People
Hmm.
tend to people eulogize love. They'll write odes or they'll write sonnets or
Hmm.
different kind of poetry on it. But nobody has been able to capture the complete. I would say that love also has an emotional arc, and nobody's been able to capture it completely.
Hmm.
And I find all that concept of thoda mushy eyes and all that. So I'm not a Yash Chopra kind of person, very honestly speaking.
Okay.
So I'm not a Karan Johar kind of person. So I'm more a thriller kind of person. I'm more a Steven Spielberg kind of person. So इसलिए love is something I would very happily sacrifice, and I would use it in some other manner in life or in loss, basically.
Okay. We have Aparna here. You used the word Golgappa while describing your cat show. She's saying you
भूख
said
लग गई होगी गोलगप्पे
Golgappa,
की.
now I want it. And then we talked about samosa. So she's saying now samosa, I want samosa. And
कल
she
का
said
मतलब
love.
Aparna is going to eat chaat.
Yeah.
Basically, her menu is chaat tomorrow.
Samosa chaat खा लो. Perfect. Yes.
हाँ, perfect.
So Supriya is also saying samosa is also love. Don't sacrifice it, Sonal. Yeah,
Oh,
I think
never, never,
food
never,
love is
never.
also kind of love. Yes,
Of
she's right.
course, yes. That is the only kind of love I understand. Gastronomic love is the only love I understand. And that brings me to my question for you. Were there any moments in actual life when you were so frustrated with things around you that it made it into your book? If yes, then give me an example. Anything that frustrated you. One thing, of course, there's this you because this entire book is very witty, right?
Yes, thank
Was there
you.
a frustrating moment which made it to the book and yet you had to write it in a witty manner so that it would, not kind of create the wrong impression on the reader?
There are many of these, but off the top of my head, again, that samosa moment is always my favorite because
Okay. So there would be first frustration there because people tend to judge so much. Even if they don't know, people tend. I mean, random things. And I've often found that it's women judging women a lot more than men judging women, I don't know why.
Oh, commenting, I mean, people need to realize that commenting on somebody's body weight or, saying that you have put on or you have lost weight is not a way of greeting them after a long time. I mean,
Non-conversation starter. I mean, that's शादी में तो ऐसे ही start होता है. Oh my
yeah.
God. Yeah. All my life I've been judged by my weight, and then I was like, might as well start throwing a bit of it around. If it's so much of it, why to hold back?
And there is one more, which has made it here. And actually, there are two more which I want to talk about. There is one where I am traveling with somebody who's a chatty Cathy, and it has made
Hmm.
it here. I do not enjoy small talk. I mean, if we are
I
connecting, then I will talk with you, but beyond the point, I can't do small talk with you if we don't find a common ground. So, yeah,
Shooting the breeze is not for me at all. I can't shoot breeze with just about anybody. You need to
yeah.
have some connect, yeah. I mean, it's a waste of time otherwise.
So this is the nugget that I'm talking about. I am in the metro with somebody, and it
Hmm.
says a co-traveler who understands private space and public or travel etiquette. And in the brackets again, I have written no chatty Cathys for me, please. In
Hmm.
the illustration, I am sitting next to somebody, and they are going blah 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 blah,
Yes.
which is already
Hmm.
shown in the speech bubble above them. And I am thinking, should I lie and tell her I am a left-wing supporter? Hopefully, that would finally shut her up. That's definitely a better idea than continuing to nod until I sprain my neck.
Oh my God, I would have just gone and said, "Hey, huh? Sorry, ऊंचा सुनता है, no hearing it."
And then, because this is my solution to such people, in the caption I have mentioned the moments when I curse myself for forgetting my headphones. Because,
Ah,
yeah, I can, use them as
that is,
conversation breaker.
And those nowadays, they're like a slap in the face. Please shut up, keep quiet.
Yeah, exactly.
You put that comment in like that, right? Yes, yes. Right. Okay. So there is this brings me to another thing from your book again. There's this in S. You know, I
Yeah,
found something which really resonated with me, which was street or thrift shopping, especially for clothes and jewelry. Oh my God, you can't get enough of that.
I know,
Please,
right?
I have done that on every single holiday abroad as well. I find
Yeah.
the flea market and I go, rooting through the flea markets. I may not look for jewelry or something, but I tend to look a lot for handicraft because I'm very passionate about buying handcrafted items. I tend to do this all the time. कोई भी शहर में जाऊं पहले जाके वो रिक्शा वाले से या ऑटो वाले भैया जिसके साथ I'm like भैया यहाँ पे कोई ऐसा मार्केट है कि यहाँ पे इस टाइप के सामान मिलता है and then I go shopping. So this
Nice.
resonated a lot with me.
So happy to hear that. Okay, my next question to you is,
Hmm.
what's your reaction when someone says, I didn't get your poem?
That's fine. It's fine. I mean, it's not for everybody. Poetry is not for everybody. Although I would like to retort in a sassy manner because as that's my default, but I understand that poetry is not something that everybody understands, including my husband. So I am a little more understanding when people say this because it is an interpretative form of
Yeah.
art. So if they don't understand my poem, I'm like, it's fine. You have your version of understanding the world. I have my version. It's not necessary that they collide.
Yeah,
So
I would probably just, include my reply, which is rude and polite at the same time. I would say, you are not my target audience anyway.
I'll use that next time. Okay. Okay. So on that sassy note, tell me how much of your book is you, exactly you, and as in if we read the book, are we getting a sneak peek into Manali, or are we getting a sneak peek into the person that Manali would like to bring out?
I think it's a bit of both, because in some of the illustrations, you would notice that I am thinking in my head, and in some illustrations I'm talking out loud. The speech bubbles are
Hmm.
sometimes my inner thoughts, and sometimes they are a part of a dialogue that I'm having with somebody.
Hmm.
So it's a mix of both, obviously, where I'm thinking in my head that is the version that I am suppressing probably and trying not to cross a line or be rude to
Hmm.
somebody, and the one where I'm having a conversation where I'm actually speaking what as part of the conversation, that's me. So I think it's 100% me, but there is also parts of me which I wouldn't willingly bring up in a public space.
Got it. Understood. Okay.
Okay, my next question to you. So the next two questions are something that I generally do when I am meshing up the two books. So I
Hmm.
have tried to combine both of our books, and these are those two questions. My first question in that segment is, if your poetry had to explain one small fit melt moment, which is from my book, like a good day or a quiet evening, how would it elevate it?
How would it elevate it? See, as I said, I already found your book to be very poetic because it's all feelings, right? But if I had to kind of put more poetry into this book, I'm not very sure it could elevate it, honestly speaking, because there needs to be a crispness to
Hmm.
prose, and poetry tends to take a lot of it take poetic license. It tends to
Yeah.
take a lot of poetic license. So I mean, when you're sitting there's this extract, no, when you're sitting by just being able to sit on a bench and just rest for a minute, just watch the world go past. I mean, if we had to explain that in a poetic sense, then it would be the sun, going down, the horizon, turning into different shades of ochre, or the leaves falling, or the autumn, or whatever. फिर उसमें वो सांस जो भर रही है, जो
Hmm.
जिस कारण से हम बैठे हैं वो बेंच पे, that gets diluted.
Hmm.
So I don't really think that, no, this your book would not benefit from any form of poetic input, because it needs to be crisp in order to hit the right note with the reader. That's the reason I remember it also.
Yeah.
So it's like this, the like a tea, the perfect balance of hot and cold water in the bath. So difficult to achieve, especially in winter. So difficult to achieve. But yeah, it's like that. So that's what
Okay.
your book is like.
So let me ask you this in a different manner.
Mhm.
Is there any particular illustration or nugget from the book that made you feel like you want to capture it in the form of a poem?
There's one actually. I don't think I have a screenshot of this, but there's one about enjoying a cup of coffee or just enjoying the day.
Hmm.
That particular one. That
I
really,
think
because there's
I
a
think
poem
it's
like that in my book also. Finding solace pe. Just being able to sit with your cup of coffee to just enjoy the moment as it is, just
yeah,
exist in that particular moment. So that's something that I think would be, I would get inspired by such a moment to pen down a poem. Very truly.
yeah, I found it. It's this one, I think. Quiet mornings.
Quiet mornings, correct. Yes,
Quiet
yes.
mornings with no agenda for the first few hours, or at least an hour of the day.
Hmm.
On that note, I'm going to quickly read a poem. I think you already have a poem like this, and I have highlighted it, the Quiet Mornings one.
It's,
Wait, I'm going to do a word search. I will be able to find it quickly, I think.
quiet mornings.
Lazy and
I
Slow
could only
Mornings, I
just
found it.
find your question.
Lazy and Slow Mornings is the title of the poem. I'm going to read that one.
Okay.
I am partial to lazy mornings. They don't run at the break of the day. Instead, they linger, unhurried, rising slowly with the sun's golden yawn. Slow mornings don't gallop in haste. They meander in a measured hush, languidly yet purposefully inching forward, like clouds with nowhere to be. On such mornings, I don't just arise, I awaken, a bud unfurling to sip the nectareous dew, stretching gently beneath each warm ray. I cherish lazy mornings when the world forgets to beckon me with urgency. On such mornings, I need not hasten. I am not compelled to chase dreams on tired feet. Such mornings allow me to breathe, unfold at my own pace, unspooled from the race of the day. Oh, grant me such mornings where ambition sleeps in and time forgets to keep score. And for once, I am allowed simply to be.
To be, yeah. So this is the poem I would write in response to your post, Quiet Mornings. This is
I'm so
exactly something
happy
that
we did this, and I'm so happy that I have such a presence of mind where I was able to twist the question and get a response from you.
that's the quirky part of your mind working again.
Yes.
I'm going to
Okay,
dissect it.
your turn.
Okay, so in your book, the visuals and the captions, they go really well together. It doesn't, there's no disruption in the flow of thought. I didn't find any, at least. It was all very seamlessly, very organically done. And why did you decide to work with this kind of a snippet format instead of an anecdotal format? slightly, मतलब आप slightly लंबे paragraphs भी लिख सकते थे explanation के, नीचे just ऊपर एक graphic होता और नीचे ये होता. Why did you decide to leave the reader with just a snippet?
So I think this was also suggested by Neil Sri, so the founder of Authoropod, when we were discussing the idea of, taking it one step. Because I have a habit of talking to my close friends when I'm thinking of converting something into a book. When a
We
book
all
idea
do,
comes to
yeah,
my
we all do, yeah.
when a book idea comes to my head, I discuss with them and I ask them to be as honest as possible with me because it is your idea, you are too attached to it probably, and you need somebody to give you a clearer idea that no, this is not a good idea, stop it here. So that kind of
True,
filter is required.
we need
Yeah.
that.
So I was discussing it with Nilshri and she asked me, why do you not want to do that? And that made me realize that it is probably a good idea to do it, but then that would break the goal of the book that I'm trying to achieve, because then I didn't want to overdo it also. Over explanation, in my opinion, kills, you know,
Is
the
the interpretation that we take away from it, actually.
exactly. So I didn't want to do that. And when I explained her that, she was like, yeah, that makes sense. Because if you are
Right,
going for
yeah.
brevity, if you are aiming for people to have their own inferences from what you are trying to say, then this is the way to
Needs to be very
don't
specific,
explain.
correct.
Yeah. And
You need to
anyway,
be
the
specific.
photograph, the illustration explains the anecdote from your life. So yeah, let's not explain it in the form of text also.
Good. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree because that has made this book a lot more personal to the reader because,
Yeah.
we're trying to interpret things from it. So, yes. Okay.
Okay,
Understood.
my last question to you in this.
Hmm.
If your book and my book shared the same emotional universe, what would be the one thread connecting them?
Emotional universe. It would be heartfelt feelings. I think that would connect them
Yeah,
because both the books.
I think one thing also very common between the two books is the element of nature, which is very obvious.
Right. Right. Both of us are nature lovers, and it shows in somewhere or the other, it shows in our poetry or our prose or our work. But yes, whatever we're feeling, I think that is the thing that connects both the books because both these books were born out of feelings and
Yeah,
not out of trying to
exactly.
write a story or trying to write a
Yeah,
poem. So that's something that connects it. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you so much.
And
And
I have to ask you now that you've written this book, Manali, right? It's out there in hindsight, do you think there is something that you missed out on writing, something that came to you after the book had been published and you thought, oh shit, ये तो डालना चाहिए था यार, ये तो मतलब रह गया, मतलब ये रह गया.
ऐसे
ऐसा
बहुत
कुछ?
सारे, yeah, a lot of nuggets I had to cut down on because I was dedicating a certain number of nuggets to each letter from the English alphabet. So
Right.
yeah, I stuck to 6 from each letter. So I had to cut down on a lot of the alphabets which had more than 6 nuggets. Uh, I had listed them down, in the Word document as I was mentioning earlier. उसके बाद फिर division शुरू हुआ for each alphabet, you know, each letter I had at least 5 to the. In some, I had to struggle with those 5 also, and in some, I had to cut down because they were going about 10. They were going in double digits. So, a
Okay.
couple of them that I can think of the top of my head. There was one related to chocolate. And the nugget goes something like this that you have not, licking a chocolate off its wrapper. I think that's the kind of underrated joy. So,
Cadbury.
yeah,
Cadbury.
exactly. So that's one nugget I regret missing out on. There's one more where I mentioned that, finding the perfect piece of jewelry to match with your clothes, that's also a very underrated joy.
Jewelry nahi jhumka. The right jhumka to match with your salwar suit. Oh my God.
Yeah,
वो जब भी चाहिए
exactly.
होता है कभी कभी नहीं मिलता है
Yeah,
मतलब हाँ like that or the right color of the bangle मतलब जब
yeah,
आपको पहनना ही पहनना है so yeah
exactly.
I can totally relate to that.
Yeah, and in fact, in the nugget I had mentioned not just jewelry. I had mentioned that just everything matching with the outfit to accessorize,
बिल्ली
jewelry,
और सब कुछ
jewelry,
हाँ.
handbag, your shoes, everything. That is just a very very underrated joy for women at least.
I can totally relate to that क्योंकि मेरा तो कभी भी कुछ भी मैच नहीं I can never find where whatever I need in the moment, I'm never able to find. And I always end up looking like some homeless person when I'm getting dressed because I'm like, अब नहीं मिल रहा तो नहीं मिल रहा, it's too late. चलो यार, I don't have the
Yeah.
patience for this. Let's go.
Exactly, right? I mean, and that is why I think for me, my organization skills come out best when I am dealing with jewelry. So I have a whole, drawer dedicated to my jewelry. So if I want to find something matching, I easily find it. I don't have to spend an entire half an hour or 45 minutes
I'm
doing
totally
it.
lost. I'm totally lost.
So yeah, I think that brings us to the end of the rapid fire
Yes,
round. So we'll
very
move to the last segment of the episode, uh, which is going to be the most fun. We were having
yes.
little fun, then more fun, now most fun.
Most fun. Okay.
So this segment of the episode is where I will play a game with you. It's called a Fit Melt Bingo. So
Oh, okay.
I have given an acronym to the name because to the title of
Hmm.
this book because it's very long. So in short,
Hmm.
it is called Fit Melt.
I like that fit melt. Yeah, I like. Ah,
So this is I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions related to the nuggets that you have read from the book, and you just have to answer in yes or no. These are the kind of experiences you have had or something that you have observed in your
sure.
life,
Oh,
probably. Okay, first one. Witnessed a perfect sunset in the last 7 days.
no, not in the last 7 days. No, unfortunately not. Hmm.
Okay, okay.
Hmm.
Next one. Own a pair of jeans that fits just right.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
awesome.
It fits my fat body just right.
No, no, no fat shaming. We just
Yeah,
discussed.
no fat shaming. Sorry, yeah, no fat shaming. Yes.
We are curvy, we are not fat. Okay, next one. Ate ice cream before it melted.
No, sadly no. I'm lactose intolerant, so ice creams बड़े सोच समझ के
Oh,
खाने पड़ते हैं. But हाँ,
okay.
today at the mall, I did watch a child eat it, lick it off. You know वो जो softie आता है ना McDonald's का वो.
हाँ,
And my
हाँ.
God, I was so jealous. I can't tell you. I looked at him for a full 1 minute. I sat there and watched that child enjoying the ice cream, and I was like, मेरी जिंदगी में नहीं है.
Oh
That I've
my God.
done.
Okay. Next one. Nailed a witty comeback at the right time.
Oh yes. Yes. Witty का तो पता नहीं because it might land as sarcasm to others, but yes, snarky, sassy, saucy ये सब किया है on an
Yeah.
everyday basis.
All of this requires a certain level of witticism. So yes, you
Everyday basis पे है ये तो
yeah.
food.
Okay, next one. Went on a peaceful walk alone.
Yes, yes, all the time.
Yeah,
I,
nice.
I want nobody to be around me, you know, I just need to be by myself.
Nice. Next one. Got lost in a great book.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
So
lovely.
I'm currently reading simultaneously reading two books. I'm reading Supriya's here. So I'm reading Supriya's book, the latest one on the folk tales, and I'm reading Sangeeta Valat's the life of a helicopter pilot. Yes, I'm reading that one, the second book. So yes, I did get lost in Sangeeta's book a lot because it was reminiscent of my time as a child in Air Force camps. So I've seen that life up close. So, you know, I
Oh,
could understand most of the jargon which might pass over people's head. So, yeah, today
oh,
only I got lost.
nice, nice. This is actually generally I have put it in this bingo game as a trick question. It is to compel whoever is playing the bingo into admitting that yes, Manali, yes, your book. Your book was a great one that we got lost in. But
तुम्हारी तो मैंने काफी टाइम पहले पढ़ ली ना तो I can't
I was
honestly
coming to that because this you have read my book a while back. So yeah,
yeah.
you are forgiven.
Exempt.
Yeah, you're exempt. Okay, next one. Took a shower without adjusting the knobs in the past week.
No. The temperature needs to be just right.
I know, right? And if you like me are sharing the shower with someone, I can totally understand. So yeah,
My husband needs it on cold and I need it on hot and warm. And I'm like, don't change my settings because it takes so long to change them. I'm like, he should have
exactly.
his in her sinks, his in her basins, and his in her showers.
Yeah. Next one. Took up a new hobby or did something creative.
Oh, yes. took up a new hobby, yes. That, as I said, since I turned 50, so this is my year of experimentation, adventures, misadventures, picking up new things and doing. So I would say yes, on a weekly basis, I'm picking up things, doing things which I never would have considered earlier. So from trying out new cuisine to last week only, I think I tried out something new. This week, sorry, and to doing things that I would never have done earlier. So I'm embracing that part. I'm embracing the wild in me, basically.
Awesome. Nice. Next one. Heard a song you forgot you loved. Yeah.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. Just 2 days back, some old in some old Insta music video, I heard "Tell Me Why." I don't remember. Is it by Boyzone or is it by Backstreet? I don't
Backstreet
remember.
Boys. Backstreet
Yeah,
Boys.
right. So this was a video from the MTV days, which I saw, one of those nostalgic ones. So I just heard that song and I was like, oh my God, this takes me back to college.
Nice. Okay. Next one. Found an old note or photo.
Yes,
Yeah.
today. वो पुराना
Oh,
10 का नोट गला गला हुआ बिल्कुल जो कोई एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेगा बट लाइक अ बैज ऑफ ऑनर आई एम कीपिंग इट इन माय अलमीरा टुडे ओनली
awesome. Nice. Okay, now the next one is something that I have given the highest timeline on, considering that most of my guests are from India, so I give a longer timeline on this. Spotted a rainbow in the past year.
yes. I have right from my house and on the way to the airport because that's when I'm in Hyderabad. So the route to the Hyderabad airport via the outer ring road, it's absolutely beautiful, breathtaking with lakes on both sides.
Oh,
And I've
wow.
spotted a rainbow and a double rainbow in that scene. It was like
Wow.
it was one of the highlights of my day. I mean, spotting that, yeah,
Super,
just the
super.
beauty of it.
Yeah, definitely a fit melt moment for you there.
Moment, yes, 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 the rainbow moment, yes,
Okay, next one. Had a random idea that sparked joy.
yes, I
Yeah.
did. In
Awesome.
the last week only, had a random idea that sparked joy. Yes, it was. So the second book that I'm writing, the book After Burps and Chirps. Initially, it was supposed to be, as I said, 50 launched a year of experimentation, and I decided that I would catalog that, and I wrote it as a memoir. And then I realized that the memoir would not possibly it wouldn't the humor wouldn't land as hard in a memoir as it would in a fiction book. So
Okay.
just yesterday, day before, I was having a conversation with my editor, and she said that no, you need to convert this into a non-fiction, and we'd be very interested to see how it comes along. So convert it into fiction, sorry, not a non-fiction. So this idea, yeah, I've just had, and I've started writing it accordingly, and it's bringing me a lot of joy, a lot of
Aw-
laugh out loud moments. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Really looking forward to reading that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And next one. Smelled something baking.
Yes, today I made banana bread.
Oh, wow.
My
Now,
daughter is leaving tomorrow, so every time she goes back, so they always carry banana bread with them. She loves
oh,
banana bread. So I today only. So today I was experimenting in the kitchen with it, and I added a little bit of Nutella instead of just the usual
oh,
vanilla. And I was like, okay, today's bread is a little different, but yeah, that's
nice.
what I
Nice.
said.
Now you can.
Cinnamon and Nutella and vanilla and other things wafting in the air today.
Oh, wow. You've really tempted me with that. Wow. Okay. Next one. Had a good hair day in the past 2 weeks.
Today I thought it was so
Yeah, it is. It is. It is actually. I was going to say that.
because
If you said
yesterday it
no,
was like this. It was like this yesterday.
so if you had answered no, I would have said no. It's a good hair day today. So it's a
Today
yes.
I think today I think they're behaving a little.
Yeah, they are actually. Okay. Next one. Popped a bubble wrap.
Last week में तो नहीं, but there is not one bubble wrap that has entered my house and gone unpopped by me. It is religion. It is like football. It is like FIFA. I will get up at 3 in the morning to watch FIFA. I will not watch cricket, but FIFA I don't miss. So this is religion.
Nice.
If there is a bubble in a wrap, it needs to be popped. That's it.
Ah, nice, nice. Okay, next one. Ate your comfort food.
Ate my comfort food. Oh yes, yes I did. My comfort food is French toast. If I'm
Oh,
sick, I need French toast. I mean, कुछ भी हो जाए, I need my French toast. So yes, I have.
Yeah, just yesterday I was having this conversation with somebody, and were laughing about that dialogue from the movie Queen, where she serves the French toast dish to
Hmm.
somebody, and he's like, "I'm French. This is not French toast."
Yeah. What do they know? It's an emotion. French toast is like it's an emotion.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. Gazed at the moon in silence.
Looked at the moon and I have, yes.
Huh?
Especially on full moon nights when the moon rises over the lake and it is visible from my balcony. I
Wow.
have sat many a times out there on the swing just looking at the moon. I'm a total cinephile, so I've done
Uh,
that, yes.
awesome. And I think we had the full moon just a few days back, so I
Mhm.
think it was in the recent
And
past. Really.
thankfully, it wasn't raining then in Hyderabad, so
Yeah.
it was visible.
Okay, next one. Bought something that made you giddy.
Yeah, today.
Yeah.
मैं आज गई थी ना मॉल में so I bought I bought this nice new top for myself and I was very happy that for once I found the right fitment as
Uh,
per my body. So isliye I was very happy today.
again, another fit melt moment that you had there
Yes,
because it fit perfectly. Yeah.
it fit. Yes, it fit. Yes.
Okay. Next, and the last one. Reconnected with an old friend.
Yes, actually, I was supposed to, but I was down with fever and stuff, so I couldn't speak to her. But yeah, an old friend reached out to me just this week only, and I'm supposed to reconnect with her. Like, I'll call her back tomorrow. So yes,
Nice.
this is a childhood friend, people who've known me since the time I started scribbling types, you know. So that
Oh,
is who
wow.
the old friend I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
that old friend. Nice,
Yes,
nice.
that kind of old friend. Yes.
This is also actually a trick question for people I call on the show for the second time after a long gap. And I am, nudging them to say, yes, Manali, we reconnected.
No, no, no. I would not say that about you because we didn't lose touch.
Yeah,
We don't have to
we
reconnect.
did,
We didn't
we
lose
did.
touch.
We have
और
been in
हमारा
constant touch. Yes.
wavelength थोड़ा कहीं ना कहीं मैच कर ही रहा है वो दिख रहा है किताबों में
Yeah, and we have been in touch. Like, it's not that this
yes
is happening after a long
correct
time.
yes
Yeah.
so this is a person I've not been speaking to for quite some time and this is a very good friend of mine but it's just like होता है ना it's that jigsaw thing
Yeah.
when the pieces are supposed to fit so well together you
Yeah.
don't care how far apart they've been and for what length of time
Mhm.
so it's like that 10 साल बाद भी बात करते हैं तो we pick up from where we left off type it's that
Exactly.
kind of
And
friendship
that
yeah
kind of happens with your school and college friends, I think. Yeah.
correct correct absolutely correct.
And that brings us to the end of the episode for today. But before I let you go, yeah, an hour
We've been
went by.
chatting for a very long time.
Yeah, an hour went by. Yeah. I generally ask this question to the guests I am very keen on inviting again. And I've asked you before also on the previous episode, but I already know the answer to this. But still, I'm going to ask you, when are you
Okay.
coming up with the next book so we can have you again?
So next book, I think what Readomania has promised me is that the book should be out in April. At least pre-ordering, they've made the announcement already, so pre-orders should be open soon. And April, if the book is out, then yes, I would love for you to read it because I know for one that you would absolutely enjoy it. Again, because of the humor part, because we think alike. There's nature,
Yes.
there's humor, there's things like that. There's wacky life going on. There is idiocy, there's chaos. That's what the book is about, a laugh out loud moments. So I would love for you to read it and get back to me with your feedback on how it could be made better, on an honest review. And yes, we would
Definitely.
definitely meet after that. And
I am
as I
very
said, I've already downloaded all of your books. So I'm going to read them one by one, and then I'll tell you which one I'm going to collaborate.
awesome. Or hopefully I will have my next book out very soon and we can collab on that. So
Yes,
as I said, you have actually motivated me to, double down on my next title so I can have it as soon as
very good.
possible.
बताओ मैं भी मोटिवेट कर रही हूँ लोगों को वेरी गुड सेट इन द कैप फॉर मी
Exactly. So now I have to bring out my new title as soon as possible so we can do this
do.
earliest. Yeah.
Yes, please do. And I've been recommending others to read this book because I found this Fit Melt again. I found it very quirky. I found it very wacky, Manali. Honestly speaking, from the bottom of my heart, this is a book that really resonated with me. because it's just mundane, sundry things. It's everyday life,
Yeah.
right? But what I really loved about this book was the fact that you chose to bring it out with so much of humor in it. That wacky factor always gets me because I don't like serious books. I don't like books which don't have a hook in them. And my default is, as I said, for default, whatever is humor, sarcasm, that is it. So this book kind of really it ticked all the right boxes with me. I love
Wow.
reading stuff like that. So thank you for writing it. I truly, truly enjoyed reading
Oh,
this book.
thank
It
you
was
so much.
very
That
clever,
makes me very,
very.
very, very happy. And yeah, on that note, I'm going to sign off on this episode and looking forward to hosting you again and have a great Sunday tomorrow
Thank you
because
so
the
much.
weekend has already gone by half of it. So
Chalo, thank
bye.
you so much.
Looking
You have
forward
a
to
great
having you
Sunday
again.
ahead.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.